There you go. Right, still does not work. However, let's get started. I actually don't know what to say because, first of all, today is 3rd of January and yesterday was 2nd of January. And yesterday there was something that nobody expected would happen. Yeah, in our country, not in any other country in the world, only in our country. I don't know if there is this kind of rule or something like this or law in other countries also, but yeah, I'm going to totally specifically talk about my country. And if you ask where I'm from, you could say I'm from Indian subcontinent. There are 3 countries in Indian subcontinent. It could be any of them. However, I don't want to disclose my location, but our country is having interim government currently, and most of you might know what country it is. However, let's get to the topic. So yesterday, the interim government declared something that we never expected would happen, and it's related to the phones. And yeah, in our country there is unofficial market, both unofficial market and official market. Now, the difference between unofficial and official market is the official market gives tax on each and every piece of device that enters the country, whereas in unofficial market none of them give taxes. The way that unofficial market works is that, say suppose someone from my country goes to another country and buys a phone from their country. It's not a registered phone for my country, it's a registered phone for the other country that he went to or she went to, and then goes there, buys a phone and comes back with it and installs a SIM on it of our country and then uses it on regular basis. Now that's what unofficial is. Now there are lots of other ways to bring in unofficial phones inside my country. However, this is the most simplest way. Now the government did one thing. Before, in using unofficial phone, we could like go out, buy a phone and then install our SIM on it and then use it. But the decision that they gave last day is pretty weird. No, I can't say it's pretty weird. It's somewhat workable for a country who gets official phone and pays taxes. However, it works in a way. Now, I want to say is that the thing that I want to say is that they did put this law where the people who are buying unofficial phone from 1st of January would need to pay a registration fee to get their phone registered in my country and then use it, or else no SIM, no network, no connection would work. Even they can't use the data on that SIM or in that device. And that's a pretty weird thing, though the cost is less than paying tax, but I don't know if it's less or if it's more, but I heard there might be some kind of cost in doing it. However, it's pretty weird because before there were a lot of people buying unofficial devices and then using it without the cost of paying anything. Now there's something. If you look at our country, there aren't not many that type of people who could go out and buy official box devices and stay happy with it, because we are the type of people who buys almost all of us. Yeah, there are some people who buys official devices and then says, yeah, it's good, we are fine. But yeah, in case of using unofficial devices, there are a lot of people, there are a huge number of people, and most of us don't do any kind of registration, and I haven't heard any kind of laws before on registering that device or something like that. But yeah, yesterday there was a law that got issued and now we are facing it. However, let's say you live in a country where most of the people of the country earns kind of minimum wages, like between middle income and lower income. So the people who are like earning that much on monthly basis, say suppose 15,000 currency in my country's currency, which is around 150 bucks in USA, or 140 or 160 70 something in UK basis. Yeah, I'm only standardizing it in USA and UK basis because most of the currency in the world are based on those two currency. However, the other thing, say suppose you want to buy a phone in 2025 and you are that type of person, that guy who earns that type of wages. Now I'm saying this because I've seen a lot of people do this. Even there are people who earns less than that. However, say suppose you want to buy a phone in 2025 and you want to have a phone that's around 250 or 350, 300, 400. That's the mid-range. Say that's the mid-range segment of a phone. So yeah, if you want to buy something like that, you at least need to, say suppose if you earn 150 bucks in monthly basis, and there are also people that's like some kind of standard wage in a way. And say suppose you earn 150 bucks, there are phones in 150 bucks also, but just think of it like this: a person earning 150 bucks has to run his or her family or his or herself for the whole month with that wages. And at the end of the month, after calculating everything, say suppose you have around 50 bucks left and the 100 bucks is gone in doing everything that's on your daily basis. However, even the food cost also. However, considering that if you want to buy a phone that is 250 bucks or 350 bucks or even 150 bucks, you want to at least save for 3 to like 9 months to buy any kind of phone that's around that range. And that's a lot of money to save for a person who is earning 150 bucks in a daily basis. And yeah, there is no other good way to say it, but I felt that law is a bit of lousy considering the current economic condition of my country. So there are also people that earns 50 bucks or even 30 bucks on monthly basis in our country. So considering that if they want to buy a phone, they need to give a lot of effort in saving it. Say suppose they save 10 bucks every month, you need at least what, 2 3 4 years to save up some amount to buy a phone that's okayish, that you want to use in your daily basis, if you have that kind of like need to buy a phone like that. So it's a pretty horrendous situation. I don't know how to say it. I said horrendous. I don't know if it's horrendous or not, if I should say horrendous or not. So yeah, that's the thing, is the people of my country just wants to go out, buy a phone and slap on their SIM on this specific device and use it on their daily basis. They does not want to pay any extra amount of fee. And on the top of that, buying official devices, there is 10% of tax. That's a different thing. That's totally a different type of a deal for the person who wants to buy an official device. If you are using an unofficial device, you need to register it. And for a people who saves around 50 bucks, that's at least a standard. However, a person who saves 50 bucks on monthly basis and wants to buy a phone 350 bucks or 400 or something like that, which is mid-range in my country or in any other country, needs to save a lot of money and in a lot of month, and that's a big effort that they need to give, working off in a extensive way. And I would like to say that in the current economic condition of my country, it's needless to say that putting in this type of laws where you need to pay the registration fee of a phone is somewhat absurd in my theory, because the economic condition is not that good that people would want to go out and buy an unofficial device and then pay extra registration fee for that device. I don't know what to say. I don't know how this thing that I'm talking about right now is going to come in that sense, but I just wanted to say, because there aren't a lot of people who wants to buy official phone paying taxes and stuff, and I guess it's a good thing that they made a law of it, because most of the people in my country is using unofficial phone and they like avoid paying taxes, which is harmful, as because phones entering my country should have tax paid and government should benefit from it. And yeah, in this perspective, let's see what AI says. So yeah, let's see. Oh my goodness, it's so huge. However, let's talk about who is more justified. Is it the government or the protesters? Yeah, there are protesters like the people who sells unofficial smartphones, and if this goes on, there might also be people who are also willing to protest for like bringing unofficial phone back in a proper way without any kind of registration fee. However, if I talk in what the AI says, there are many ordinary Bangladeshis. Sorry, I said the name of my country. However, there are many ordinary people in my country who rely on cheaper imported or second-hand phones. Suddenly, blocking of device feels like a violation of their right to communication, fear of losing access to essential services like banking, education, healthcare apps. Justification: they are justified in demanding affordable and continuity of services. Phones are services. Phones are no longer luxury, they are lifelines. Yeah, that's true. Nowadays, phones are not luxury. Even if you are buying a phone that is around 50 or 70 bucks, they are not luxury. Even there are phones that are in my country that are around 10 bucks, and yeah, I don't know how would you guys call it a phone, but yeah, they are phones and they works. And the lower class of people who doesn't get that much wages, they usually get those type of devices. Yeah, there are people also that who uses this type of phones as secondary or primary device, but yeah, that's true. However, phones are no longer luxuries, they are lifelines. Governments and regulations. Here are the government's rules. These are the concerns. Smuggling and tax evasions. These are their concerns. The government's concerns in making the phones, in like making people buying the official phones, because there might be smuggling, like smuggling phones from other countries and bringing in without paying the tax. And there is also tax evasion, like if you're buying an official devices, then there is tax evasion which you are not paying, like you are not paying the tax. However, fake or clone phones pose security risks. Yeah, there might also be fake or clones which you might be buying without knowing. And yeah, NEIR is meant to protect consumers and ensure fair taxation. Here is the justification. They are justified in wanting a regulated, secure, and tax compliant telecom ecosystem. Uh, Without it, the market remains chaotic and unfair to legal importers. The core conflict here is the core conflict, like where the law does not go with the citizens of people, and the government is trying to make it correct. However, citizens wants affordability and access. Government wants regulations and revenue. Both sides have legitimate points. The clash comes from how fast and how strictly the rules were enforced. Here is the possible solution. Phase implementation. extend the grace period beyond 90 days. Yeah, so there is one thing that government can do. Considering the current situation in the mobile phone market, they could do one thing, that they could say that I've given you around 3 months, and just do one thing, that you guys fix your things, like fix the issue that is going on, and try to normalize the law that they were given. And yeah, in 90 days time, people could sell the unofficial devices, but if they are stocked out, they shouldn't bring in any more unofficial device, which they could sell, but they shouldn't bring in any more unofficial device, as because after 90 days the laws will be implemented properly, and no one there out there would definitely avoid the law. That's the thing. Gradually block illegal phones while offering affordable legal alternatives. Yeah, you could do that, because say suppose you are blocking the phones in using the network of my country, you could do one thing. You could offer alternate solution, like cheaper way to like register the phone, or maybe free for some times, for say for 1 month you could make it free, and then people would love to get it done. And may also make the registration fee way cheaper, so that the people who earns less than 50 bucks monthly could also get in a good way to register their phone. The other thing, and subsidize legal phone, and you could also do that by like properly implementing the law to buy legal phones, and totally remove unofficial phones. I guess that's what it said, I don't know. Partner with local manufacturers to produce budget smartphone. Yeah, you could do that. Currently Bangladesh is producing few of the smartphone, like from Samsung and Honor, which are made in this country. Actually the parts are imported, and then they are assembled in this country, so the cost comes way cheaper in that way. Offer tax breaks or subsidize so legal phones compete with the smuggle ones. I actually don't know what this point means, but if I talk about tax breaks, then in a way you could say that, like, for a certain amount of time, you do not you the people buying phones in that bit of time do not need to pay the taxes, and that would bring the wage down a bit. Trade-in program. I don't know what this means, this trade-in program, but yeah, trade-in program. If you guys know, please comment below. Allow the users to exchange illegal phones for discounted legal ones. Yeah, that's a good option. Say suppose you have a legal phone and it's like it's stolen or smuggled or something like that. You could go and change that phone and buy a discounted legal ones. Like the illegal phones cost gonna make up for the amount you need to that you needed to pay with some bit of amount that that's already paid for the phone, that or that's already you already pay for the phone. I'm really sorry for the trash explanation. Let me say, suppose if I have a illegal device, and you want to exchange it with a legal device. Now, the illegal devices amount is reduced from the total amount that you are going to pay to get a legal device, and you just need to pay the remaining amount. Prevent sudden losses of access while encouraging compliance. I don't know what this means actually. Public awareness campaign. Yeah, you could do that. Public awareness campaign is a great option for making legal phones or official phones work, because if you're saying that legal phones is good for the country and it gives people benefits in certain ways, then it's a good option. Clear communication about in NEIR timelines and options. Yeah, there should be a proper timeline for paying the taxes of that specific smartphones, and people should follow this timelines. At least that's what I understood. Many protesters stemmed from confusion and fear. Yeah, there are many protesters who are confused about this current law, and then they are needed to be like clarified about the law and how it works. Balanced duty policy, and I guess this balanced duty policy means that the amount you need to pay to the customs or the government as a tax, which needs to be balanced, like not in that high of a rate or not in that low of a rate. Keep important duties low, like recent cut to 10%. Yeah, it was before 25% the tax, and now it's 10%. Ensure phones remains affordable while still generating revenue. Yeah, they should do that. Say suppose you are buying a phone, and you should look out for both the profit of the country and the profit of the people who are buying it. Neither side, here's the big picture. Neither side is wrong. The government is right to regulate, but citizens are right to resist sudden disruption. The solution lies in compromise, slower rollout, cheaper legal phones, and transparent communications. If you like, I can forget about that part. However, it's from the AI, so you know what I mean. So that's that. Even I also use a Korean version of my phone, which is not official in my country, but I did buy it like 3 years ago, so it's kind of official right now because there are no laws about implementing registration fee on the phones that are 3 years before. So yeah, say suppose there is one more thing. Say suppose you want to buy a phone, and the phones that are officially entering the country is does not meet the expectations that you want to buy. Say suppose this is my Realme C25. I bought it in 2021. Now there's a catch. The thing, this device, sorry for the display, it's totally cracked. The Realme C25 that I use is the international version. There is an Indian version of it. Now there is one specific thing that I want to talk about. It's the specs. If I talk about the camera specs in my Realme C25, the main sensor is 48 megapixel, and in the international version and in the Indian version, the main sensor is around 13 megapixels. So there is a huge difference. Let me show you one thing. Say suppose this is the camera app, and if you look here, there is a 48 megapixel option. There you go. But in the Indian version of it, I guess there, as far as I remember, there isn't any kind of option like that where you could just go to your main camera and take a raw picture so that you could edit it or do whatever you want with it. That's the thing. You might be like skipping out on specs if you are buying official phones. If the official phones comes with those type of specs that you want to buy after comparing few other devices, then that's the thing. You should go for unofficial devices, and that makes it more logical. So yeah, that's like all about it on this topic, and I don't know how this video is gonna work, but this is just my thoughts on this current topic that people are talking about, but and people are considering to like do whatever. So yeah, that's all folks. Hope the mobile phone market continues the way that people wants, and that's all. I don't know how this video is gonna be received and how people are going to react on it. That's only my thoughts. That's all folks. Peace.